The rivalry between Iran and Saudi Arabia is deeply rooted in history. It is a multifaceted conflict, fueled by religious differences, geopolitical ambitions, and a struggle for regional dominance. At the heart of the divide lies the Sunni-Shia schism, a centuries-old split within Islam. Iran, the region's preeminent Shia power, and Saudi Arabia, the birthplace of Islam and custodian of its holiest sites, have often found themselves on opposing sides of regional conflicts. The 1979 Iranian Revolution marked a turning point in the relationship. The establishment of an Islamic Republic in Iran, led by Ayatollah Khomeini, raised concerns in Riyadh about the potential spread of revolutionary fervor to the Shiite minority within Saudi Arabia and the broader Gulf region. The rivalry intensified in the following decades, marked by proxy conflicts, mutual distrust, and a fierce competition for influence across the Middle East. The 2016 execution of prominent Shia cleric Nimr al-Nimr in Saudi Arabia brought relations to a nadir. Protests erupted in Iran, leading to attacks on Saudi diplomatic missions. Riyadh responded by severing diplomatic ties with Tehran. The incident marked a low point in relations, exacerbating existing tensions and pushing the two regional heavyweights further apart. The rivalry between Iran and Saudi Arabia has had a destabilizing effect on the Middle East, fueling proxy wars, sectarian violence, and a climate of mistrust. The competition for influence has played out in countries like Yemen, Syria, and Lebanon, often exacerbating existing conflicts and hindering efforts at peace and stability. The rivalry has also had global implications, impacting oil prices, fueling terrorism, and complicating international efforts to address regional crises. By the early 2020s, the geopolitical landscape began to shift in ways that would eventually pave the path for a thaw in relations between Iran and Saudi Arabia. Both countries faced mounting domestic pressures and recognized the unsustainable trajectory of their rivalry. Saudi Arabia, under the leadership of Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman, was seeking to implement an ambitious economic transformation plan, Vision 2030, which required regional stability and foreign investment. Iran, meanwhile, was reeling under the weight of crippling U.S. sanctions, reimposed after the Trump administration withdrew from the 2015 nuclear deal. The Iranian economy was in dire straits, and the Iranian public, weary of economic hardship and international isolation, was increasingly vocal in its discontent. The war in Yemen, where Iran-backed Houthi rebels were locked in a protracted conflict with a Saudi-led coalition, had become a costly quagmire for both sides. The changing global power dynamics further incentivized a rapprochement. The United States, traditionally a key security guarantor for Saudi Arabia and its Gulf allies, was seen as increasingly unreliable under the Trump administration, which pursued an America-first foreign policy that prioritized transactional relationships over long-standing alliances. The perceived U.S. retrenchment from the Middle East created a vacuum that both China and Russia sought to fill. China, in particular, was emerging as a major economic and geopolitical actor in the region. Beijing's Belt and Road Initiative, a massive infrastructure investment program spanning Asia, Africa, and Europe, had significant implications for the Middle East, and China was keen to ensure stability in the region to protect its investments. China's growing economic clout and its neutral stance in regional disputes positioned it as an ideal mediator between Iran and Saudi Arabia. In a surprising turn of events, China brokered a deal in March 2023 that restored diplomatic relations between Iran and Saudi Arabia. The agreement, signed in Beijing after days of secret talks, included a commitment to reopen embassies, resume direct flights, and explore areas of economic cooperation. The deal was widely seen as a diplomatic coup for China, demonstrating Beijing's growing influence in the Middle East and its ability to play a constructive role in resolving long-standing conflicts. China's success in mediating the rapprochement can be attributed to several factors. First, China's economic weight and its growing investments in both Iran and Saudi Arabia gave it significant leverage. Both countries recognized the importance of maintaining good relations with Beijing, which had become a crucial economic partner. Second, China's neutral stance in regional conflicts made it an acceptable mediator to both sides. Unlike the United States, which was seen as biased towards Saudi Arabia, China had maintained cordial relations with both Tehran and Riyadh. This neutrality allowed China to gain the trust of both parties and facilitate dialogue. Third, China's growing diplomatic prowess and its willingness to engage in complex mediations further enhanced its credibility as a peacemaker. The deal was a testament to China's patient and pragmatic approach to diplomacy, which prioritized dialogue and mutual understanding over confrontation. The agreement was met with cautious optimism by the international community. Many observers noted that while the restoration of diplomatic relations was a positive step, deep-seated mistrust and conflicting interests remained. The true test of the agreement, they argued, would be whether it could translate into concrete steps towards resolving the underlying issues that fueled the rivalry, such as the conflicts in Yemen and Syria. The Iran-Saudi rapprochement reverberated across the Middle East, raising hopes for greater regional stability and potentially ushering in a new era of diplomacy. The agreement had immediate implications for several regional conflicts, including the war in Yemen, where both Iran and Saudi Arabia had been deeply enmeshed. The truce in Yemen, which had been in place since April 2022, largely held after the agreement, providing a glimmer of hope for a negotiated settlement to the devastating conflict. The rapprochement also had a ripple effect on other regional hotspots. In Lebanon, long a battleground for Iranian and Saudi influence, the agreement created an opportunity for a reduction in tensions and potentially a more conducive environment for political dialogue. In Syria, where Iran had been a staunch ally of President Bashar al-Assad and Saudi Arabia had supported the opposition, the rapprochement opened up avenues for dialogue and potentially a more coordinated approach towards a post-conflict settlement. The agreement also had implications for the broader regional security architecture. The potential for reduced tensions between Iran and Saudi Arabia, two of the Middle East's most powerful actors, raised hopes for greater regional cooperation on issues such as terrorism, climate change, and economic development. The rapprochement also had the potential to reshape regional alliances and partnerships, creating new opportunities for dialogue and cooperation between countries that had previously been at odds. The agreement was not without its critics, however. Some observers argued that it would empower Iran and embolden its regional ambitions. Others expressed concern that the agreement would come at the expense of human rights and democratic values, as both Iran and Saudi Arabia have been criticized for their human rights records. The true impact of the rapprochement, they argued, would depend on the willingness of both countries to address the underlying issues that fueled their rivalry and to work together to promote a more peaceful and stable Middle East. In the intricate dance of geopolitics, trust is a fragile commodity. Both Iran and Saudi Arabia find themselves at a crossroads, where every move is scrutinized and every word weighed. The stakes are high, and the world watches with bated breath. Will these two powers find a way to coexist, or will the shadows of mistrust continue to loom large? Only time will tell. In the intricate dance of Middle Eastern geopolitics, Iran and Saudi Arabia find themselves in a delicate balancing act. Both nations, with their rich histories and cultural legacies, must navigate a landscape fraught with potential conflict and collaboration. They are constantly weighing their actions, striving to maintain influence while avoiding direct confrontation. It's a complex game of chess, where every move is calculated, and every decision carries significant weight. Beyond the political and ideological differences, the economic realities of Iran and Saudi Arabia present both challenges and opportunities. Oil, the lifeblood of their economies, ties their fates together in unexpected ways. As global markets evolve and the push for renewable energy gains momentum, both countries must adapt to ensure their prosperity. There's a shared future in economic diversification, where innovation and cooperation could pave the way for mutual growth and stability. The path ahead is riddled with challenges, yet it is also brimming with opportunities. Regional instability, international sanctions, and internal pressures are significant hurdles. However, the potential for collaboration in areas like trade, technology, and culture offers a brighter horizon. By addressing mutual concerns and fostering dialogue, Iran and Saudi Arabia can transform these challenges into stepping stones towards a more cooperative future. As we look towards the future, the question remains: are Iran and Saudi Arabia on the brink of a new era? The shifting dynamics of global politics, coupled with the aspirations of younger generations, hint at a potential for change. It's a cautious optimism, where hope is tempered by the lessons of the past. Only time will tell if these two nations can move beyond their historical rivalries and embrace a new chapter of peace and collaboration. Please subscribe, share, and like the video.